Hi everyone, my name is Allison Muse. I'm a product engineer with the ArcGIS for local government team at Esri, and we did a meetup a few weeks ago on the Maps and Apps gallery and forgot to record it. So here is my recording of that meetup for you. The Maps and Apps gallery is an ArcGIS Online group application template available to you as part of ArcGIS Online and coming at 10.3.1 as part of Portal. So today I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about what the application is, how you can stand it up on your own, and show you some examples of how other users have implemented this application in their organizations. So first I'll start with what the Maps and Apps Gallery is. It's a gallery application used to provide focused access to a selection of your organization's content. This could be for the general public or it could be targeted at an internal group. It can be a broad assortment of maps, apps, and other items that are in your ArcGIS Online organization. Or it could be a very focused selection of those, for example, maps, apps, documents, and links targeting your fire department or management in your organization. It's a way of providing access to this content outside of the traditional ArcGIS Online environment. So Esri has provided several gallery applications in the past. The local government team had an on-premises gallery that is now retired. It had some functionality. It offered filtering using the tags and the items in ArcGIS Online, but it wasn't responsive and it was limited in which content types it could display. It was on premises, so it wasn't hosted in ArcGIS Online. It wasn't available in that environment, and it was limited to public content only. There is an existing template in ArcGIS Online. It's been there for a while, the public gallery, which has some additional functionality. It provides access to all of the content types. It is hosted in ArcGIS Online, and the code is available to be downloaded and hosted on a local web server. Again, it is limited to private content only, and it isn't a responsive application. It also doesn't have any filtering or way of restricting which types of content are being viewed in that application at any given time. So the Maps and Apps gallery that I am showing today is responsive. It also has filtering with tags, which I'll show you in a few minutes. It also displays all of the content types that are available in ArcGIS Online. So it's not just maps and apps, it's also documents and links and all of those other content types that are available to you. It is available as an application hosted in ArcGIS Online. And as I mentioned previously, soon to be in Portal as well. You can also download the code from GitHub and host it locally on your own web server. And for now, you can implement it that way and use content that's in Portal. So if you're working in that environment, you can still do it even though it's not delivered as part of Portal yet. And the Maps and Apps gallery also supports both public and private content. So there is a sign-in button in the application that I'll show you in a minute that can provide access to additional private content in your org. So I'll get in how you configure those applications or that application in a minute. But first, I wanted to show you some examples of how you guys are already using this application. So I'm going to start with the City of Pasadena, California. I love this implementation that they've done. So this is the Maps and Apps gallery. You can see they've put their logo up here in the corner and they've configured the title. This text that's displaying here is actually the description of the group in ArcGIS Online that contains all of these items. So we're pulling information from that group directly. It doesn't even need to be any extra configuration in the application. Here's the tag cloud that I mentioned earlier that can be used for filtering. For example, if I click on zoning, you'll see that what's available in the gallery is going to restrict itself to only those that are related to zoning. So these items all have a tag in ArcGIS Online for zoning, and those are the tags that are used to populate this cloud. So I can get rid of that tag. You can also filter by multiple tags. If you click 2 or 3 of those, it will return only the items that have all of those tags. You can also search for content. If you're not sure what tag it has, but you know that it has a specific name or there's a keyword in it somewhere, you can search. So if I search here on story map, it's going to return to me the story maps. I can clear that search result by clicking on the X. Right now, all of these items are sorted alphabetically, but I have other sort options available to me. I can look at them in the order that they've been most viewed, in the order of most recently modified, or I can go back to the default sort by name. I can also change the layout. What we're looking at right now is the grid layout. The list layout gives a little bit more information, so it, as well as displaying the thumbnail and the name of the item and the type of the item, here's the summary text that is available in ArcGIS Online as the short description that displays underneath the title and items there. You can display that in list view. And you can set the default values for all of these in the configuration experience that I'm going to show you in a minute. And finally over here, that's that sign in button that I mentioned. So if this was if I was a member of this organization and this would be the public content that's available to everybody through this app, but I could sign in then to perhaps see additional content that's shared with this group, but that isn't shared with everyone as well. So we'll go back to grid view here for a moment. And let's take a look at a map. So if we open the Community Gardens map, you'll notice that it actually opens right inside that application. It didn't take me out to ArcGIS Online or bump me out to another page. I'm still in the app. But I have all of the basic functionality that most users would need in a web map. For example, I have a legend over here. I can click on Info and see more information about about this map. This information is coming from the item description in ArcGIS Online, complete with links and graphics, any other content that's set up as part of that description. There's also pop-ups available. If I click on one of these items in the map, I get the pop-up as it was configured in the map in ArcGIS Online, again with links and any other graphics or anything that are set up in there. Let's go back to the gallery by clicking on the title bar. And let's look at something different. Let's take a look at a document. Let's look at this zoning map, this PDF. I just clicked on it in the gallery and it's downloading that document for me. So it's not just the maps and apps, the traditional ArcGIS things that you think of in ArcGIS Online. Any content that can be referenced in online, you can set it up and add links, you can add documents, you can add other files, zip files, shape files, whatever you want. All of that content can be uploaded, shared with a group, and then that group published out as a gallery application so that everyone can access that content in one place. So come back to the gallery, and let's take a look at one more item here. Let's take a look at this, the current zoning application. Again, this one has taken me outside of the application, like that document, and it's opened up a brand new app for me. So this is Pasadena's current zoning. This is a fully functional application set up outside, shared with that group, and available to me then through my gallery application. This is also a responsive app. I mentioned that earlier. So here, if I shrink this down so that it is shaped like a phone screen, you'll see that it adapts very well to that style. I still have the full list of items. All of the information that was there in the desktop view is just as accessible here. I can click on the menu, change my sort options, filter using tags, and if I come in here and look at a web map, I still have my legend and my additional information available to me there as well. I'm not sure if you noticed that. Instead of clicking on the thumbnail, I clicked on the name, and I'm just going to do that again slower so you can see it. So if I click on the thumbnail in this application, it's going to jump me straight into that web map. But if I click on the name, it takes me to more information about it, and that works in both the mobile and the desktop views. Clicking on the name brings you to a page with the full item details information for that item, if it's a map app or another item. And that includes things like the access and use constraints, the tags that are applicable on that item, and the size of it, which can be important if it's something to download. So let's take a look at another application. This one is, I believe, in Dutch, but it's such a cool implementation. I really wanted to show you guys. What they've done is they've built a gallery of galleries. So if I click on one of these items, it actually is going to open up a new gallery with the focused content. So you'll see they've turned off the tag cloud, and I'll show you how to do that in the configuration experience. Instead, what they're doing is grouping content together in sub-galleries. And this nesting actually goes several layers deep. I'm only showing you at the second level right now. So this is another way you can organize your content. If you don't want to do the tag cloud filtering experience, you could group your items into very focused groups and then provide access to those galleries from a larger container gallery like they've done here. So now let's go take a look at the configuration experience for this gallery. If you like how this looks, how do you do it on your own? So for that, we'll go into ArcGIS Online. And I've already built a group with a variety of content in here. I've got maps and apps and documents and layers and things in here already. To do that, you would just open up one of these items and click Share, and then share it with a group that you've built. So I'll show you that. Here's this item. If I say Share, I can choose which groups I would like to share it with. And in this case, I've chosen that gallery demo group for all of these items. You don't even need to own all of these items. In this case, you can see I'm grabbing things from a variety of usernames. So to create the gallery, I'm going to click on Share and make a gallery application. A lot of people have actually never noticed the Share button here. I didn't know it was there until I started developing these applications. So it's a good one to point out. This Share button up here is what I clicked in order to get into this gallery window. So make a gallery application, and I'm going to choose the Maps and Apps gallery. What you see displayed here may change depending on how your organization is set up. For now, I'm just going to click Publish under the Maps and Apps gallery. And there's actually 3 options here. If you click on Preview, it will take you to a Try It Live experience of the gallery already set up with content. You can go in, click around, play with it, see what it looks like. You can also download it. I mentioned that this gallery could be stood up on your own web server if you chose to. You can download the code from GitHub by clicking this link here. Stand that up on your web server. And we have help documentation that'll walk you through that, and I'll point to that in a minute. Finally, this is the option we're going to choose right now, which is to publish. And this is going to create a map and app gallery application hosted right in ArcGIS Online for me. It can save in my default folder, and I'll say Save and Publish. And it's really just that simple to create the application. That's all you need to do. But I do recommend you at least look at the configuration experience and judge for yourself which of those, they're all optional, but what you would like to do to make this application look like it belongs to your organization. There's quite a few configuration options here. So you can change the top of it, or change the title of it, sorry. This text will replace the text that it displays right here as gallery. You can supply the URL to a new icon to display up here. By default, that will be the thumbnail from your ArcGIS Online group that you've shared. If you don't want a title to display at all, you can just remove that text. You could then supply a really long graphic if you have a really nice banner for your organization. This graphic will just expand across the bar. You can choose a color scheme. I look at this one in blue a lot, so I'm going to change it to red right now. In order to see any of these changes, you have to hit Save first. So don't think that when you're making changes it's not having any effect. Just hit Save and then you'll be able to see what you've changed in the app. Now I'm going to change the default layout. The list is nice because it shows the item descriptions, but I'm going to change the grid and I'm going to sort them by name, ascending. You can also set a default search value, and here's how you turn off the tag cloud. So the last user's application that I showed you that wasn't showing the tag cloud, this is how you would turn that off, just by unchecking that box. I'm going to say Save, and then we'll look at these map settings. So right now the map viewer is set to use this simple viewer. The simple viewer is the map viewer inside the application that I showed you previously. You can change that to use the ArcGIS Online map viewer if you would like, especially if you're targeting this application at users who are used to the ArcGIS Online map viewer and they want that additional functionality, the additional tools that are available in there. You can change that by changing this to map viewer, and then any maps that are previewed will open in ArcGIS Online instead of inside the gallery map viewer. I'm going to leave it at the simple viewer for now. One thing you will probably want to change is this default address. This is the search that shows up, the search value that shows up by default in the location search in the map and layer viewer. You'll probably want to set that to something that's not Naperville, closer to home perhaps. You can also change the base maps that display in this base map widget. Set up another group, put a bunch of base maps in it, share a bunch of base maps with it, and then supply the name of that group and then the owner's name for that group, and those maps will show up in this widget instead. By default, it uses your organization's base map group. So then we can say save and done. And that's really all there is to it. The last step is to share this with whoever your targeted audience is. If this is going to be available to the public, share it with the public. If this is something internal, you perhaps only want to share it with your organization or with a specific group within your organization. One thing that I see a lot of people do that creates a loop is they actually share it with the group that they're using to populate the gallery, and this creates a loop. I'm going to do it just to show you what not to do. So I use the gallery demo group to create this application. So I'm going to share my application with that group just for a minute here, bear with me, just to show you what I mean by that, because this has caused some confusion in the past. And then I'm going to go back into my gallery. And you'll see that I now have my application shared inside of my application, and it's just not necessary, and it causes a bit of a confusing user experience, because if I'm a citizen who's come in here to look at what's going on in my community and I'm clicking on these applications, when I click on this one, all it does is reopen the application. It's just not a smooth user experience, and it's very easily avoided. Simply don't share your application with the group that's feeding your application. Okay? If this is confusing, you can post a comment on the meetups and I'll clarify it for you later, but it did cause some confusion in the actual meetup, so I just wanted to demonstrate it here in the video and hope that would make it clearer. So I'm just going to leave this shared with everyone. Oops. And say okay, and that's it. I'm done. That is how you set up your own map and app gallery. It's pretty simple. But I do know that it was a lot of information that I just threw at you. So we have help that we've written for this. I can go back up to the root and show you how I got here. So it's solutions.arcgis.com is your landing page for everything to do with ArcGIS for local government, state government, emergency management, utilities. There's quite a few domains that we cover. For the Maps and Apps gallery, if you click on local government or state government, I believe has a link as well. Under documentation, there's a bubble over here on the side for web app templates. These are the 3 that we have out right now. There are 2 more that are being released shortly for crowdsourcing, and we will be adding to this library in the future. But for right now, there's 3. There's the Maps and Apps gallery, and here's everything that I've told you and then some. So here are the requirements for standing up the application, things we think you probably would like to know. You need an ArcGIS Online subscription. This app will be in Portal in 10.3.1. It's compatible with most modern browsers, and we always keep a running list here of what has been added to the application or changed in the application with each ArcGIS Online release. Because this is a hosted app, any improvements or bug fixes or anything we do to improve the functionality of the application will automatically be pushed to you. You don't need to worry about maintaining that infrastructure as long as you're running it as an ArcGIS Online hosted app. Under Get Started here in the top blue bar, this is where you really get into the meat of this page. So here's all of the steps for configuring the Maps and Apps gallery that I just went through. Everything in that panel and what it affects in the UI. There's also some additional configuration here. So this is really what you'll want to look at if you are interested in downloading the code and standing it up on your web server. Here's everything that's in the configuration files and how you make all of these modifications when you're standing it up on your web server, all of that configuration. You can then rehost the app in ArcGIS Online if you make some modifications. They're limited to the configuration file, and the steps for that are there. Or if you want to stand it up on your own web server, we walk you through all of those steps as well. So that's the solution site. I'm just going to go briefly back into PowerPoint and go over some tips and tricks. So I just covered a lot of information, but there's some key things to think about when you're doing your own gallery. First is thumbnails and branding. It really makes a big difference when you take the time to brand each of the items that's shared in your gallery. The City of Pasadena did this as well, and there's many other great examples out there. Instead of using just ArcGIS Online's default thumbnails, grab nice images or icons and brand them as your own. It really makes for a very professional looking application. 2, descriptions and summaries. I showed you all of the places in the app where all of that information is available to your end users. It helps them get the most out of this application that you've built. So take the time to populate that info. The summaries show up in several locations, as do the thumbnails we just mentioned. The description, access and use constraints are there as well that tell people how they can use this, or even credit information that lets people know how reliable the information is that they're looking at. What's the source? Where am I getting this information from? Third is the tags. Be really thoughtful in how you tag the items that are going to be in your gallery. Make them really focused, but also you don't want an individual tag for each item, because then that really doesn't help people filter content very well. You kind of want things grouped into different categories, and you want them to be English. I don't know about you guys, but I tag an awful lot of content in my test organizations with test or other words that aren't necessarily helpful to an end user trying to find the content I've created. So be thoughtful in the tags that you place in the items that you actually want to display in the gallery. Fourth, I've said this before and it bears repeating, it's maps, apps, and more. One thing that the City of Pasadena did that I thought was really cool is one of the items in their gallery is actually a link to their ArcGIS or to their GIS open data portal. When you click that, it opens up their open data site, so you have access to all of this additional information. So that's something else to keep in mind. You can link, save, or share links in ArcGIS Online as items and then include them in your gallery, so you can really make this a one-stop shop for whatever your targeted audience is. And finally, please, please, please don't share your app with the gallery group. That's what I demonstrated there at the end when I shared my item with the group that was feeding my gallery, and it created that loop. So I see this done over and over and over again, and just please don't do that, because it's really not the best end user experience. So coming soon for this application. Actually, this was coming soon when I first did this meetup, but now it has actually been released with the ArcGIS Online release earlier this week. The Maps and Apps gallery now supports greater than 99 or more than 99 items. We also added support for server map services as base maps. They don't necessarily need to be tiled anymore. They can be dynamic. And in Portal 10.3.1, the Maps and Apps gallery will be available as one of the Esri default group application templates. As always, the ArcGIS for local government solutions are really driven by feedback and requirements that we get from you guys. So if you would like to implement this application, but we're missing one key piece of functionality that you really need, let us know. If you're already using this application and there's something that you see that we could be doing better, let us know. If there's something you love about what we're doing, we'd love to hear those things as well. So please give us your feedback on the meetups page, on GitHub, on the ideas site. Whatever means works best for you. We really appreciate your feedback, and we use it to drive the development of all of these applications. So that is all of the content that I covered in the meetup originally. If there's anything you feel like I missed, or if there's anything else that you'd like me to help you out with, please post a comment on the meetups wall, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks so much to everyone who attended and to everyone who has watched this video. Have a great day.